Long overdue. Thanks for coming to my YouTube channel. I'm so behind the scenes with being on a lot of websites that you've probably seen me on before. Covers.com, sportscapping.com, vegasinsider.com, sportsline.com. A lot of websites. You guys want winning picks, and I'm going to differentiate that just a little bit and go back to my early days when I moved to Vegas, 2014, 2015. Probably some of the most fun moments behind the sports betting scene when I did videos for Jim Feist with Hollis Barnhart and John Cranton. It was really, we just went down there on Dean Martin, little studio in there, office studio, and we shot videos every Tuesday. And those really opened up the window on my perception of ATS value before I finalized my boards on Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, John's doing different things nowadays. Hollis has kind of moved on from the sports betting type of thing, but I'm still in it, and I'm gonna give out my insight, and then hopefully down the road, maybe I can have some guests on, whatever it may be. But if you like the podcast format, this is the same recordings that are gonna be on Spotify, Google, iTunes, several others. So you can subscribe if you like podcasts. If you like the video format, I'm gonna post these on YouTube as well. I was just a guest today on the Sharp 600, and I'm going to rediscuss some of those games. Maybe have a little bit different insight than I discussed during that, but let's get into it. We're going to go over a couple of college football games and one in the NFL. The NFL game is going to be Thursday. Now, I'm never going to have Thursday games on my NFL betting board. Those that know me, I finalize my board on Fridays, but these are games worth discussing still. You're looking at a Carolina Panthers team. They're going to be 6.5 point favorites facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, a divisional game in the NFC South. Both teams lost their first game. And as I told Rob, either one of those teams could have won week one. So let's not get carried away and overreact. I'm seeing people harp on Jameis Winston. I'm seeing people harp on Cam Newton. This is his crossroads. Look, Norv Turner put him in good spots. He was okay. I think if you rank him with the other quarterbacks in week one, he probably would have been about 18th, 19th. Didn't run the ball very much, but he made some key drives that kind of pushed the Rams. You could sense that the Rams were backpedaling just a little bit, but they made enough adjustments, got the 50-50 plays to go their way, and they won the game late. So that's what happened there. But Carolina, they're at home once again, and this is a team that's been very good at home over the years, which is one of the reasons why I think you saw that initial week one line come down from 3 to pick in some spots, but -1 and majority at the books. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, let's face it, everything's new with them. This is the first time Jameis Winston really has a chance to take this under his reins and see what he has. Bruce Arians, new head coach, Byron Leftwich, new signal caller, and Todd Bowles coming over from the New York Jets back to his defensive coordinator role that he had with the Arizona Cardinals, and Bruce Arians was coach there. So those are elements that are going to take a while to gel. Obviously, teams didn't play much in the preseason. When you look at the spread, I would say it's very tricky to go ahead and attack a 6.5 point spread right now. You don't know if Carolina can push the tempo and be successful. I don't think you can look at a team at that high of a point spread that hasn't shown they can play quarter to quarter just yet. It's probably going to happen. It's going to happen out of the blue. But quarter to quarter after 5 days off or 4 days off between Sunday, that's kind of tricky in this spot, even with Jameis Winston being a turnover machine. But I think you can look at the total here, which is at 50 points. Of course, we saw last week, the week one opener, Green Bay and Chicago did not show any sustainability offensively, a lot of rust. So people are probably going to expect that to be not to that similar to that degree, because both these teams can score points, but they're going to expect a little bit of rust because of the time differential between Sunday's game and Thursday's game. So I would look at taking that over, and hopefully that cashes with Run CMC running all over the place. Maybe Mike Evans is healthy. I remember he was not healthy in week one. He was sick and played very limited snaps. So I think you can look at the over there. Let's just touch on briefly a couple of games in college football. I'll talk about Wake Forest, North Carolina, Friday. That's going to be a key game. Wake Forest has been profiled already twice on the year. Their week one matchup against Utah State, and then last week against Rice. I think both were Friday matchups, so you know that Caleb Newman, he's got that spotlight radar in Wake Forest. did not cover against Utah State, barely covered against Rice. So odds makers have this team pretty much precise as far as the ATS number. So that's something to keep in mind, because you look at a lot of other college football teams, there's been the spreads have been way off, just to say the least on that one. The spreads have been way off. But North Carolina, they've covered the first 2 games against South Carolina and Miami. What do those 2 teams have in common? They've been very rusty offensively, especially the Miami Hurricanes team. These teams are able to turn it on late, or the opposite. The South Carolina kind of backpedaled late. But this is a Wake Forest team that's been from start to finish good offensively. What I've noticed with them, though, unlike years past, their defense is not as strong. If you look at North Carolina, they're getting better. Mac Brown has both sides of the ball playing okay. It's never going to be great with Mac Brown, especially the freshman quarterback. But getting points again, I think you continue to ride that with the North Carolina Tar Heels. And then maybe next week they'll be a little bit overrated. But for now, going into Friday's matchup, I think you can grab the points with the Tar Heels and expect that to cash Friday. Probably the best of the games I'm going to discuss here, with the final one being Clemson and Syracuse. A lot of familiar matchups there with ATS-wise. Clemson 3 years ago blew out Syracuse 54-0. Dino Babers comes in, first year, beats Clemson in the upset 2 years ago with Eric Dungey just playing a magnificent game. Last year, I think Eric Dungey cost them that win, did a little bit too much, especially in the late third, fourth quarter when that game swung. I think they should have stuck to the running game, but put the ball in his hands too much, and that kind of swung things a little bit. And that was Trevor Lawrence's debut, so Syracuse had their season spoiled. They could have been a top 15, top 12 team if they had, maybe even higher if they had beaten Clemson right then and there, but they knocked out Kelly Bryant. Trevor Lawrence comes in, and he just led them drive to drive. I think it was 2 drives in succession for that comeback victory. So you look at this one. Now we have a new quarterback for Syracuse Orangemen, a freshman, Tommy DeVito, who's struggling. Did not look good against Liberty. Obviously looked overwhelmed against Maryland. And defensively, Syracuse could not handle the speed of the Terrapins. So it's kind of that double-edged side of the spectrum there. Where is Syracuse going to come back in the middle there? And I think it has to do with coaching. Dino Babers has shown to have an edge against Dabo Swinney the past 2 years. It's just a fact of the matter. They've been able to play above their capabilities against Clemson. Maybe they looked ahead last week. I don't think they did. I think Maryland just outclassed them. But this week, you have to look at Syracuse. I know that just sophomore quarterback Tommy DeVito may still be over his head, but he's going to have to turn around. He showed flashes last year. Sooner or later, that's going to pay off on the field. Just too many points, especially with bettors thinking to the Texas A&M game last week where Clemson dominated them defensively, was lucky to get that backdoor touchdown. So look at Syracuse as the other play. Please follow me on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button. It's going to be a lot more content this year, and I want to give you guys some winners. Subscribe. Let's push this forward. The more subscribers I get, the more I'm going to give out picks, maybe some parlays here and there. But follow me here on YouTube. Let's keep it going.